Yeah, and I think you can feel our passion in our food. We hear that from our customers all the time.
That looked like rainbows on the plate because we just used like yellow zucchinis, heirloom carrots, the whole 9 yards, and it just ended up being really nice.
Now, I'm notorious for not measuring, so what I'm going to do is very lightly drizzle some of our honey over the meats.
We left on the spinalis there, which is arguably the most flavorful part of meat on a cow. Arguably, like I said, people argue about it a lot.
We've got some butter on this side. It'll take a little bit longer than it might in a kitchen inside. Lots of butter because I believe in it.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Renfrew County in the wonderful, beautiful Ottawa Valley. Today we are celebrating a Taste of the Valley with Chef Steve, and I'm sorry, Steve, your last name again?
Barry.
Steve Barry, thank you very much.
Yeah.
He has the Axe and the Paddle restaurant in the town of Eganville. I'm co-hosted today with Katie Tallis from Laurentian Valley Township, and I am David Waibu from the county of Renfrew. Steve, please tell us a bit about yourself.
So my name's Steve Barry, like we said. I've lived in Renfrew County for about 6 years now. We made our way here from Niagara-on-the-Lake. We found it quite beautiful here. It certainly wasn't a hard decision to move here. There's all kinds of beautiful produce and meat products, and we've really enjoyed our time here and turned it into a pretty decent business so far.
All right on, that's wonderful to hear, and wonderful to have you in the county now.
Thank you.
So what are you going to be preparing for us today?
So today we are doing a 12-ounce, 14-day dry-aged ribeye steak with garlic mashed potatoes, chanterelle mushrooms, local zucchini, the chanterelles are local as well, and a red wine demi-glace.
Ah, that sounds
And
absolutely
local scallions, actually, that came from this farm.
Ah.
So that's nice, too.
That sounds brilliant.
Delicious.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'll get to it. So what we did when we brought this ribeye in is we cleaned it up.
What does that mean, clean it up?
So that means trim it to how I like it.
Okay.
So typically what you get with a prime rib is something that's much longer than this. So what we did is take the heel off. We left on the spinalis there, which is arguably the most flavorful part of meat on a cow. Arguably, like I said, people argue about it a lot. For me, as long as it's on a steak, that's the most flavorful part right there. Just because of the marbling and how little the muscle is actually used, it becomes quite tender and quite full of beefy flavor. And then, like I said, we dry aged it for 14 days as well, which anyone can really do at home if they have just a nice rack. All it really requires is that you dry off your meat and let it just kind of sit there, and then you just have to trim it up.
So sit there
beforehand.
in like a cold room, or
Oh yeah, not out on the not out on the table. Yeah, in a fridge, definitely in a fridge. We have a special fridge that's just for that. It's just a residential fridge, but it's just for dry aging beef at the restaurant. We don't do it often, but when we do, I like to have it, and it's really nice. You get a very beautiful piece of meat out of it.
And how long did you dry age this one? You said?
14 days.
14 days. Okay.
Which I find is just the right amount of time where you don't really have to trim off a ton. There's guys who dry age for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. I find 2 weeks is right around the money where you don't lose a lot of stuff, and especially where we're already removing the heel of what you would normally get from a cut of prime rib. So we're losing a lot of that stuff anyways. Yeah.
So the heel, because if I remember prime rib correctly, it's just that
extra piece of
fat.
fat.
Do you use it for something else?
It ends up going in stock.
Okay,
yeah.
in stock. Okay.
So the stock that I use to make the red wine demi-glace.
Oh, okay,
So-
great. So you still use it, yeah.
Yeah, nothing goes in the garbage. Yeah, nothing goes in the garbage.
That's awesome.
So we bring in nice bones. I prefer marrow bones, only because you get a lot of collagen on them, and collagen is what turns into the gelatin after heat and time when you're making a stock, which makes that demi-glace nice and thick for you without having to add like a roux or a slurry or anything.
Right.
Got you. Nice.
So it's all natural without any additives, except for the bottle of red wine that I poured into it.
Well, that's all natural too.
That's all natural too.
That is
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, neat. It's one thing I'm definitely learning is that there's so much that goes into preparing your protein in advance. That really sets the protein from here to
there.
level,
Yeah,
right?
there's
It
all
really
kinds of
does.
different things you can do to make things better. One of the things we serve on our regular menu is a New York strip, and a lot of people think some people. I've had people call and say, "Hey, can you do a beef tenderloin for me?" And like, "Yeah, I don't have any in right now." But the way I clean up a New York strip and I take off all of that gristle stuff. You know, you leave a nice fat cap on, and you leave that little butt of fat at the end. But what a lot of people do is they don't take off all of the connective tissue at the bottom that connects that New York strip to the ribs, and that's what people dislike about a New York strip. But if you clean it up properly, it's a beautiful, tender, delicate piece of meat.
There's a lot of kind of like an art form that goes into understanding how to use meat effectively. And I think that's what really, like, you know, obviously you're extremely well versed in it, so it sets you apart.
It takes a little while. It's years and years of really trying to figure out what works best, and some failures along the way. Of course, right?
But then you really find what works.
It tends to work pretty well once you get used to it. So I'll just get this stuff going now. Steaks we're just going to leave sitting here for just a moment, and then we'll get these chanterelles going as well. So these are locally foraged chanterelle mushrooms. They are the favorite mushroom of a lot of chefs, and they grow in the wild here in the boreal forest all over the world, but specifically here in Renfrew County, all the way down, I would say, almost to Bancroft and up into Quebec.
Really?
These mushrooms are very special. So a lot of mushrooms, not like that. So a lot of mushrooms have different soluble enzymes. So some have water-soluble enzymes, and that equates to flavor. Some have alcohol-soluble enzymes, and some have fat-soluble enzymes. Chanterelle mushrooms have all three. Not just that, they're super bold and flavorful, but they're also this gorgeous golden color.
They're beautiful.
They're absolutely gorgeous.
So, I live along the Petawawa River.
Yes.
I've got nice sandy soil, lots of pine trees.
Yes.
And somebody came by one time and said, "Oh, you've got chanterelles all over the place here." And I do. I have these nice yellow mushrooms.
They're gorgeous.
All over. They look really nice. I have yet to taste a chanterelle mushroom.
Today's your day.
Like in your lifetime.
In my lifetime.
If you see them
and
you want to pick them, the only thing I would suggest to you is don't pull them out of the ground, because you'll screw up the whole mycelium network. So that's kind of the spore network that will bring them back every year. Just cut them out of the ground and leave that root there, and they'll come back more and more and more every year. And the best way to identify them is by their flutes.
Right.
So these little flutes, they'll run up as much as they can up the stem. You'll see false chanterelles out there that are very bright orange. They're not this golden color. And the flutes kind of end at the cap.
Okay.
Yeah.
These like really look like flour.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're a beautiful, beautiful mushroom, and we're really lucky to have them in this area.
I didn't know that they were like that. They grow naturally in this area.
They do, yeah.
I had
they
no
just
idea.
grow everywhere.
Wow.
If you're ever out for a walk in the woods, you can see them in Shaw Woods. I never pick them there because it's private land. But if you're out walking, even in Algonquin, they're everywhere.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, you can grab a little bit.
And mushrooms are a whole other realm of education of like understanding.
Yeah, it is.
It's something I've always, I've known a few foragers. And
Foraging has become popular.
It has, and
yes.
we actually one time had a little workshop with a forager. They came and walked us around and showed us different things. It's amazing what's in our environment.
It is
edible and very tasty.
Exactly.
And we never even think of it as food.
Yeah.
We can, when you're dealing with local grocery stores, we're dealing with what can be factory farmed efficiently, cost effectively, but it's not. It's a fraction of what's actually out there.
That's the thing.
And that's the nice thing about a lot of the local farms we have in Renfrew County.
Indeed.
Is you get a much greater variety. And, as we talked about earlier, the size of our county, the largest county in Ontario, a lot of different climates or habitats. We've got a lot of bushland. We've got some mature forests.
That's right.
Having the opportunity to have these mushrooms is phenomenal.
That's right.
I want to learn more.
One of the things I really like every year is when chanterelles come into season and when ramps come into season, the wild leeks.
Right.
They have really been gaining popularity over the last few years, over the last 10 or so years. Again, the only thing I would recommend is not yanking them out of the ground. Yeah. With ramps, you can harvest about 10% of the kind of field that you see before you're harvesting too much for it to come back the next year. Right?
I don't think I've ever heard of a ramp before.
Oh, they're really neat. So they have a big, broad leaf, and then they have kind of like a bulb at the bottom, like a scallion, like a green onion.
Okay.
Except, you know how green onions have that, big, kind of the same shape, tubular leaf? Yep. These have a big, broad leaf with a little purple rib down the middle, and they're beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, neat.
They kind of are a mix between garlic and onion.
Right.
Almost like a wild shallot, kind of. Yeah,
nice.
One thing my nonna used to actually.
You're Italian?
Yes, I'm
right
Italian.
on.
Was dandelion.
Yes, so did my nono, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
dandelion
yeah.
salad.
I do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
I do that too.
Do you?
I
Okay.
discovered years ago, and we've never used fertilizers or pesticides
Yes,
on our
'cause that's important.
or insecticides or whatever, anything herbicides on our lawn, and I would go out and I'd pick dandelions and toss them in the salad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I
that's
always
right.
like them.
Yeah, I know. It's so interesting what
And
different like.
if I remember right,
Absolutely.
the root is also edible, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah. My nono liked the greens and he liked the stems too.
Now,
Yeah.
the stems is the
Yeah.
only thing I wasn't sure of. So,
I never really enjoyed them that much. I
Yeah.
found them milky and bitter, but
Right.
Yeah, they're really bitter.
some of the old Italian guys, they love like the Escarole and the
Everything's, like,
Radicchio,
very-
like
yes.
the very bitter stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Red wine vinegar and they're off to the races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, I really like that you incorporated something that grows naturally. The
Yeah.
chanterelles. I really think that's special to this meal.
Whenever they're in
Yeah.
season, I try and bring them in. I've got a local guy who picks them for me. I'm not going to tell you who.
He's like, he's my guy.
He's got a patch, and it's my patch.
There we go.
But you can find them. You can find them. They
Well,
definitely grow frequently around here.
That's the thing about foraging too, though. You don't want to over forage.
You don't want to over
I
forage.
think that's
no.
the art of it too,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
balance.
And you need to know, especially with mushrooms, you need
to know what you're
doing.
picking. Yeah.
There are poisonous mushrooms out there.
Yes.
And some of them
Absolutely.
look
Here,
like
there's-
edible ones.
Yeah, and they're everywhere, right?
Absolutely.
People
There are
think, oh, not in Canada, but
Oh no, they are.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
raised. Don't touch the mushrooms. Don't touch the mushrooms.
yeah.
Then when I spent a few more years cooking and getting to know food a little better, I was like, I'm touching the mushrooms. I know exactly what those are.
You're like, I'm educated.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
do this. Yeah. Yeah, it's true though. You're like
It is.
that way.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we can put the steaks on.
I love mashed potatoes. It's one of my favorites.
This keeps going out.
Yeah.
Oh no, there we go. There we go.
The wind is a little bit of a.
Yeah, we'll leave that for a few moments.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good for time though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cooking outdoors is absolutely wonderful. A great atmosphere, but the wind can play havoc on the cooking equipment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is fun though.
It is.
And I didn't get to do much of it this summer with the restaurant being open.
Yep.
Typically, as soon as the weather gets nice, I'm outside on the barbecue. But this year, I was at the restaurant on the barbecue.
All right, there you go.
So yeah, tell us a little bit more about your restaurant then, because it's fairly new.
And I love
It's
the name,
fairly
Axe
new.
in the Paddle.
I love it.
How
Yeah, the
Renfrew
branding
County
looks
can you
great
get?
That's why we picked it. Axe and
Yeah.
Paddle. Eganville's an old logging town with a
Yeah.
beautiful Bonnechere River running right through it. So I thought the
Yeah.
name was fitting.
Very
It gives
fitting.
a little bit of a pubby kind of feel, which
Yeah.
we're almost there.
Yeah.
We didn't apply for the liquor license just yet because of COVID stuff.
Right.
We opened up doing takeout.
Right.
Yeah.
So
'Cause you opened right during COVID.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like a crazy person.
Yeah.
But it's gone really well. So Friday and
good.
Saturday night, we turned the restaurant twice. So we had about 80 people in each night.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so
amazing.
it's been really good.
For Eganville's a small town, but 80
is.
people
It's
each
a
night.
nice-
It is,
a
but
nice
we're
little
getting
town,
people
though.
That's
coming
good
from all over the
numbers.
county,
Yeah.
which is
Very
really nice.
picturesque.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's a gorgeous town.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful view of the river. So right out the
You
front
really
window, it's. Have you been?
Well, so I've been to Fish Shoot.
Okay,
a
yeah,
bunch.
yeah.
And then when I saw that you guys opened, I got really
Yeah.
excited. But during COVID, and I just haven't been there when it's open. But it's on my
It's a
list.
great view, right?
Yeah,
I'm really
it's
looking
gorgeous.
forward to the winter when we can have the snowmobilers in, and it's the nice frozen river, and it gets dark early, and we have the oil lamps out on the tables.
Oh,
I think it'll be
that would be
nice and
nice.
cozy. Yeah,
That would
yeah.
be nice.
Yeah, that would be really nice. Yeah. So what are you doing to the chanterelles right now?
Typically, when I have them in the restaurant, I roast them.
Okay.
I find that is a very nice, gentle way of cooking them.
Right.
So you get some of the butter in, you get the salt and pepper, and I'll just hit them with some white wine when they come out. I didn't bring any today, though. But we'll hit 2 of those
There you
enzymes.
go.
We'll hit 2 of them. Just the water that's in the butter and the fat that's in the butter.
Nice.
Yeah, and then they just get a nice little crispiness to them,
Yeah.
too. And a lot of people say, like portobellos are like a very meaty mushroom. Wait till you have a chanterelle. It's a very, very, very meaty mushroom.
Oh, is
it's
it? Okay.
steaky. Yeah, which is kind of why I serve it with this.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah. So I think we'll go ahead and get those steaks on now. Now that everything's nice and hot. So you guys okay with medium rare?
Yeah, I'm
yeah, that
Sounds good to me.
I always like my steaks from the rare to the medium size. So.
Sounds perfect. So these are about 12 to 14 ounces. I usually do them a little smaller at the restaurant. We normally go about 10.
Yeah.
10 for a ribeye. We can do larger if anyone asks, but I like to have stuff just,
I know when
this is how we cut them.
when I was younger, I was a big steak eater,
Yeah.
and I would typically do a T-bone,
Ah,
and
yes.
so I had one plate for my T-bone steak and one plate for everything else.
Yeah.
and that was my
Yeah.
dinner.
Like steakhouse style.
Yeah, oh, I mean, the steak did cover the entire
Plate.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I'm visioning
And then
Yeah.
potatoes and beans or broccoli or whatever else would literally cover the. I'd have
That's right.
2 entire plates.
That's right.
That I would.
Yeah, that's very old school steakhouse
Yeah.
style. You
Yeah.
get your steak and then you order your veggies and sides and
Yep.
It's true. If you
Yeah.
go to like Courchevel or those places in Montreal, I don't know if it's called that anymore, but yeah, that's like your
you go to
very-
Joe Beef, that's how they do it.
Very
Yeah.
your classic, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, but the steak is like made
The
exactly.
steak, exactly.
So that's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it makes a big difference.
So what would you say your specialty is at Axe and Paddle? Are you like kind of red meat?
Canadiana.
Or Canadiana.
That's what I
Okay.
go for. I say we do Canadian contemporary.
Okay.
So, and that gives us a lot of range to do different stuff. Like sometimes I make fresh pasta, sometimes I'll do a curry. But I like stuff that uses kind of local food that we have around here and appeals to local people, right? So one of our big hits is the honey roasted half chicken. Because I want to feed farmers, right? Here's a half a chicken for you.
Yeah.
And one of the other ones is Paula's meatloaf sandwich, right? So I call it kind of like an adult sloppy Joe, right?
Right.
So we do that with a tomato jam and cheddar and a nice slow cooked meatloaf. It's really quite nice.
I feel like
Yeah,
meatloaf
sounds
needs to
good.
get more recognition.
I think so too.
I
yeah.
agree.
It's a staple. It's a family. I grew up on it.
That's
Once
right.
a week we had meatloaf in my house.
Really?
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, me
absolutely.
too.
I love
Yeah,
meatloaf.
me too.
Yeah, it's great.
We don't do it with any breadcrumbs or anything, so it's
Yeah.
nice and
Yeah.
moist. We put a couple extra eggs than you normally would, so that everything holds together.
And my mother would put cheese in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And we would have meatloaf sandwiches for lunch the next day.
And aren't they
It's
great?
so
Cold,
versatile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're great.
Or even breakfast, or throw it with some like eggs and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's just.
I had that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I did.
exactly. Like give your
Who
leftovers.
needs steak
like,
and eggs when you can have
Meatloaf and eggs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just you make a big thing and then you have it for so many different
Yeah.
meals.
It's a real thing of beauty.
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
Oh, this is wonderful. So here, just
Look at
try one of these on their own. It's a little hot, but you'll be okay.
Wait a minute.
Isn't that nice?
that is delicious.
That is a delicious,
Napkin, Katie.
Well, thank you.
beautiful mushroom.
That's good.
Picked just over the river in Quebec. Yeah.
That's so good. So what's the season range then for chanterelle?
They grow kind of late spring into the fall.
Oh,
So kind of as soon as you get a frost. I've had suppliers try and sell me what they call winter chanterelles before, and they're just chanterelles that didn't get picked before a frost, and they're not as
pretty
good.
big range
They're frozen.
then, spring to fall.
That's right. Yeah, and they
Good.
just like you said, they grow under pine trees,
Yeah.
kind of in
moss.
sandy, peaty
Yep.
soil, right? I shouldn't say peaty, sandy, kind of.
Which is, I guess, a lot of the soil here.
That's just
Which is a lot of the soil
that's
here,
exactly
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
So
always a sand
just
soil,
like
right?
boreal forest with lots of water running through it, that's the kind of soil
Okay.
they love,
Yeah. So
right?
you get lots of areas around here that has a lot of clay. Then you get very rocky soil, like up in the Berries Bay
Yeah,
area.
that
You know,
area.
very little sandy, rocky. And the Petawawa area is very
Sand.
and Deep River too, going up, very very sandy. But as you go further north, you get a little more vegetation. Vegetative growth is inside it as well, so there's more
That's
black
right.
soil content to it rather than just straight sand.
That's right. That's what they like around our cottage near Bancroft
Yeah.
is those chanterelles. It's a very rocky area with lots of black, decayed soil
Black
on
earth,
it.
yeah.
And as soon as you get a shady patch that has a little bit of sunlight for part of the day and then shade for part of the day, that's where the chanterelles start popping up.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look for these on my hikes and stuff.
Once you
now.
see them, you're gonna see them everywhere.
I know.
Yeah.
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 Is
And they're
that, like,
impossible to miss.
confirmation bias or whatever. Like
It kind of is, yeah. It's like when you're looking at a new car, right?
Yeah,
Then you
and
start
you're
seeing
like,
them
oh,
everywhere.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly the same kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's neat. What I like about Axe and Paddle with being Canadiana, you cook with the seasons too, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the beauty of the flexibility of that.
That's how I was taught to cook in Niagara, right?
Yeah. Which is, I mean, as humans, that's how we should eat.
That is how we should eat. That's the Italian way to eat. It is,
It is,
right?
yeah, it's true.
So
yeah.
I found in Niagara we had so many different products and so many different things that came in through the season. It just comes naturally to me. And one thing I really loved about Renfrew when I moved up here was our season here is a couple weeks behind
Right.
Southern Ontario.
Yep.
So I found I was getting cool stuff later than I expected to get it.
Yeah.
And then even Brad from Cardinals there, which I get most of my produce from, he gets some stuff from the Quebec side as well. So that's even like another week or so later.
right.
So I get strawberries like almost in July, whereas in Niagara they'd be done halfway through June, right?
Yeah.
So
So you get your stuff from Cardinals. That's great because Cardinals is Laurentian Valley.
That's right.
Eganville.
Just
so
down the road.
I love that collaboration. And
Brad's a great guy. He, I think he's a great local vendor. Just with how much he cares about what he brings in.
the quality.
The quality. He'll never sell you anything that's garbage, ever, ever, ever. And he's just a nice guy.
You know, it's funny. There's a lot of really neat personalities in the county. A lot of great people. But you know that care for quality and the value of local food.
I find it everywhere.
Yeah, I'm really struck by the farmers I know and how much they care about the land they're on, the quality of the food they're growing, and how they grow it.
There's no lazy people around here.
Growing number of organic farmers,
Yeah.
and that takes more work.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
They are in that land. They are working it really hard and proud of what they do.
That's why I'm so happy today that we could be here at Hedgeview Farm. It's like an organic farm, and
Exactly.
like Brenna, when you talk with her, the passion that she has, and being able to host us, she's just open to collaboration.
To all of it's quite wonderful.
The more the merrier, right? And I think it's amazing.
I think so too.
Yeah. I remember when we first came for our site, she was showing us the gardens, and she's like, "Here's some kale," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like this most beautiful kale I've ever seen."
Yeah.
And
I think when I came from Niagara, I always loved how many farms there was and wineries and everything. But what I love about this is it's the exact same type of care. Everyone cares about what they're doing, except it's not big $10 million wineries. It's someone who's farming beef or someone who's farming corn, and it's a really wonderful thing.
And they really live the life.
That's right.
You know, it's very much a part of their culture. And
100%.
I've always been amazed too is the artistry or artistic talent that exists in a lot of them too. So you're farming the land all day, and at night, some of these places are off grid.
That's right.
Yeah, I know, right? On top of it all.
Yeah,
That's
everything
right.
else, but at nighttime, so it's the neighbors get together. Somebody plays an accordion, somebody plays a violin or a fiddle, somebody plays a guitar, and they jam together.
Yeah.
And they get together, they'll have a beer, and they'll play music and just have fun. It's a very social, community-oriented environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really
I want
exciting.
to I think Brenna, we were talking about that with her, is that when people come, if they do end up coming, not that, because a lot of people rather sell to suppliers versus you come to the farm and that sort of thing. But if you do come to the farm, if they do have that, commerce side, you see the farm for what the farm is. Versus
Exactly.
in some of these other areas, it has to be kind of built up to be of a certain perception. It's like,
That's right.
let's show people what a farm truly can or does look like too, right? And there's more to say for that.
It's nice. It's, there are about a dozen. There's about a dozen farmers markets that exist throughout Renfrew County. So you can go pretty much any region of the county and you can find a farmers market that's going to be open on a Friday, a Saturday, or a Sunday, and you're going to have a good representation of the different types of farms and producers in the area. And mixed in with that, you're going to find a number of really talented artisans as well.
That's right.
People that work with metal, people that work with precious stones, people that work with oil paint or acrylics. A lot of woodworkers.
A lot of woodworkers.
Yeah, some amazing art, crafts, kitchen bowls, utensils, all out of wood.
True Canadiana.
Yeah, it's amazing. Beautiful stuff.
And it tells the history of the area too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, old logging, so I feel like it really is true to that as well.
There's a couple of women in the area that do wood signs.
That's right.
There's actually a few of them now. And so they make these really eclectic, funny, all natural, locally sourced wood signs.
Yeah.
Sometimes burned, sometimes painted, sometimes carved. It's pretty interesting. It's
I agree.
Great works of art.
I agree. Even sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
Even the company who did our sign for us is a small husband and wife team who did our big, huge 14-foot handmade wood sign for the axe and paddle. And it took them about 2 weeks to finish it. Right. They came and helped us install it, and I kind of explained to them kind of what I wanted it to look like, and they just knocked it out of the park. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it's nice having that local
Oh,
touch,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
They tell people, oh, we did this sign, which only brings people to come to see it. And
That's
it
right.
just-
Like we could have called a big company from Ottawa to do like a neon sign for us. I don't think it would have fit what we were doing anyways, but I think it worked better to have a local company do it as well, especially when it's kind of a handcrafted thing.
Yeah.
I know. First I saw of your restaurant was driving by and noting the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, wait, whoa, what's this?
Yeah, neat, right?
Yeah.
And they did the vinyl decals for the windows as well,
Yeah.
right? So we kind of tried to match with this shoot, so we kind of had similar looking storefronts.
I think that's so smart. It really
Yeah.
complements each other.
I think so too. I think we have one of the nicest buildings in Eganville.
Oh, you do. You
Yeah.
do. It's a nice spot.
It's a beautiful spot.
And there's a little, in the bottom of the fish chute, if you go downstairs, there's this little side door that goes right out onto the river.
Yeah,
I know that.
yeah, it's really neat, eh?
Yeah, it is.
You're like right there. You
Yeah.
can jump right in.
Yep. Yep.
You've been down there, eh?
I have.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we'll plate up. I'm just gonna let these steaks rest for a minute. What I always do with steaks, because as Italian as I am, I still learn some of the old French methods, and I always put butter on my steaks when they come off. It's just,
Everything's
that
better
extra
with,
little thing.
Everything's better with butter. I mean,
absolutely. Where did I put those? Oh, here we are. So this is local zucchini from Cardinals as well. For all I know, it came from here. I trust Brad. He does a lot of local purchases.
He does.
As soon as I saw these big scallions that came from Hedgeview, I said, I know exactly where my scallions have been coming from now. Brad's always been wonderful with working with local people and making sure everyone gets the best stuff they can possibly get. So I did make these mashed potatoes beforehand.
What type of potato did you use?
I use Yukon Gold.
Yukon Gold?
Yeah,
They look great.
they're my favorite.
and you know what I like that I think you did?
I left the skin on?
Yes,
Yeah.
I always leave the skin on. My wife likes
Yeah.
them off, but I love the skin on.
I do too, especially for Renfrew County, right? It's a country mashed potato.
Is that kind of a county
I think,
or a country thing?
yeah, I think like what we were doing, growing up as a young man when I was working kind of in like fine dining, you would never do this.
No.
But I like it.
Yeah.
I think it tastes good. I think it gives it a little bit of texture, and especially.
And the nutrients are in the skin.
That's what they say, but I don't know if I
You don't
believe
know?
that.
No.
I find it hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that you have this giant potato and all of the skin, all of the nutrients are kind of in that half a millimeter
I've
of
got to
skin.
justify my little quirk of loving that skin.
Yeah, it just tastes good. That's why I love it. I think it, and I think it
Whole
builds
vegetable,
character,
right?
right?
I
Yeah,
think that's also
absolutely.
kind of
Yeah, and instead of
treated
throwing
like-
stuff out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's the country style mashed potatoes
Yeah.
work great for what we
And
do.
it looks nice too.
It
I
does.
agree.
Okay, and you put your zucchini right on the potato.
Right on the potatoes. Steaks will go right on top.
I love zucchini.
Me too.
I do too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fried in butter, it's just, you can't go wrong.
I'm a bad person for butter.
Yeah, well, no, that's good.
Depends on how you look at it. Yeah.
Nothing bad about that.
No.
Oh, it smells great.
So I tied these just so they hold their shape. Especially when you clean up a ribeye the way I do, like I was explaining. It kind of wants to go a little bit wonky. It wants to, just because as I mentioned earlier, the spinalis here,
Yeah.
and that is the actual eye of the rib there.
Right.
So if you don't tie them, they kind of want to
Separate out.
separate and do their own thing.
Interesting.
It's just a good technique for making it very presentable. See how it's doing right there?
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you cook it without a tie, what you would end up with is kind of like,
It would just kind of
yeah,
expand. And
exactly.
that makes sense.
I think this one's going to be for you there, Dave. Rare to medium rare.
There we go.
Then we have this nice, beautiful red wine demi-glace.
Yeah, I'm
it's
very big on the sauces. I love the sauces.
Yeah, I'm a sauce guy
I
myself.
think that's pretty, very nice.
When I did a lot of my stuff in Niagara-on-the-Lake, I spent a few years as a saucier. So.
Well, it takes a lot of training, doesn't it not?
Yeah, and some of the bigger kitchens in Niagara-on-the-Lake, you work a station, like the old
Yeah.
school French brigade style. So you might spend 2 years doing soups and sauces, and that's
specialize.
what you do. You might spend 2 or 3 years just cooking fish, and that's what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
You might spend a couple years cooking vegetables, and that's what you do.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of
But
choice
you
in the
get
matter.
really good at it.
Exactly.
Yeah, become an expert in that. Yeah. Oh, the mushrooms just like add.
Makes it pop.
Yeah.
I did forget the goat cheese, but it's fine without.
Well, that's okay.
And then the nice scallions from here in Hedgeview. So this is kind of, here, let me get that out of there. It's kind of like a fancy steak with mushrooms and onions, right?
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, Warren's another
scallion
picture all over
is
again.
another name for green onion.
Green onion, spring
Okay.
onion. There's a bunch of different things you can call
but they're
it.
all referring to more or less the same.
They're all referring to kind of that white bulb with
the green
stems.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Here, let's set you guys up.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, you have forks. Perfect. That looks great.
Do you have forks there?
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay, you're super prepped for us.
I think that one's for you.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you so
I'm gonna
much.
take a
Wow,
picture of
look
this.
at
There you are.
that. Oh my
Okay.
goodness. Is that ever beautiful?
And that's that, guys.
That is just fantastic. Okay, let's
All right, shall we?
give
have a
this
bite.
try.
We'll save one for the camera guys if they want to have a taste too.
Yeah.
That nice red wine jus gives it like some kind of savory and
Yeah.
acidity too. It really cuts through some of the fat
Yeah.
that's left.
You know, I would think I was eating a filet mignon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Well, thank you so much. This
My
was
pleasure.
amazing. You taught me so much today.
Yeah, Steve, this has
Yeah.
been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
I don't think I've ever enjoyed a steak more, and wow, it looks so good.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Much better than my single steak on one plate, vegetables on
I was
another.
gonna say this.
There's something to be said for that as well, though. Yeah.
Thank you again.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Anytime, guys.
Okay, you have a great day.
You as well.